Welcome to the TCPalm Editorial Board meeting to interview candidates for the Vero Beach City Council. With 8 people running for 3 seats, we've broken out interviews into 3 groups. I'm Larry Reisman, columnist and community editor, and I'm joined by fellow editorial board members Adam Neal, editor and news director, Blake Fontenay, an Ed Killer columnist, and Louise Philippine, a reader advisory board member. Special thanks to our candidates today for meeting with us and streamlining the process by completing questionnaires ahead of time. Board members have reviewed them and worked together on a list of questions for the candidates. Questionnaires and replays of our editorial board interviews can be found at TCPalm.com. At the conclusion of this interview, editorial board members will discuss possibly writing an editorial to recommend a candidate in this race. I'll lead the questioning and open it up to other editorial board members at the end. Our goal is to be completed in about an hour because there are 3 of you. But because of our time constraints, we ask that you please keep your answers concise. So we'll start the questioning with Ken, and we'll ask you, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city of Vero Beach?
I think the biggest issues that are facing Vero Beach City is how are they going to continue to pay for the services that the citizens demand. We just sat through the budget cycle. There's maintenance issues that are not being done downtown. They do not have the funds for it. We have a situation with the homeless around the Pocahontas Park area. The lighting there is very poor. I have asked them on numerous occasions what could be done to help that situation there. And, being told the money just is not there in the budget. We're going to also have to figure out going forward what areas can we generate revenue without raising people's taxes. People are very concerned about taxes. The business people that I talk to that own businesses in this local community are very concerned as far as how they're going to keep their doors open, how are they going to meet their payment obligations. They already have problems with hiring help. They have to pay help more wages. They have numerous problems when you go out and talk to them on the street as far as what they're being faced with. They're concerned. Everybody I talk to is concerned with the federal politics, what's happening on the national stage. So boil it down to the city. It goes back to how are we going to spend our money? How are we going to bring the money in without really putting burdens on our taxpayers?
Thank you.
Larry, you muted yourself.
Gosh, that's crazy. Sorry about that. We'll go to Taylor. And what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city? Taylor, did you hear me?
Are you able to hear me, Larry?
Yes. Did you hear my question?
Can you hear me? Is my mic
Yes.
on?
Yes.
Yes,
We can
I
hear
heard
you.
you. I'm having some technical issues here.
Did-
I'll try calling him.
Yeah.
Taylor, are you able to hear us?
Can you hear me, Taylor?
Yeah, I can hear you now. For some reason, I'm muted to where I can't hear the sound.
Okay. All right. Can you discuss the 3 biggest issues facing the city?
Yeah, 3 biggest
It looks
issues. How
like-
much time do I have for this one?
Quickly.
Okay, well, first and foremost, the 3 Corners Project. This may be one of the most historical elections in the history of the city of Vero Beach, not because who's going to be elected, but for the referendum for the approval to move this site or move this project forward. Another issue would be the lagoon. We always have to be mindful of the Indian River Lagoon. The big 3 contributors to its poor health our stormwater, the septic tanks leaking, and the muck. So that's something we always have to be mindful for. The last one, it would be the relocation of our wastewater management facility. It's very early in the design phase. We're obligated by the state to make existing updates to it. It's just right now how to finance it.
Thank you, Taylor. Linda, what are the three biggest issues facing the city? And then Taylor, you might want to mute. You might want to mute your phone. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, yes, I agree with Taylor. The most important thing is moving forward the Three Corners property. The referendum needs to pass, and then we need to proceed with that because that would be a revenue generating area that we can use to pay for services instead of raising taxes, like what Ken talked about. There are other potential revenue sources that are coming anyway, no matter who gets elected, but I would certainly be on the side of making those happen. The sooner the better. And one of them is the cleaning of the reuse water coming out of the canal and then selling it to John's Island. If this is a successful endeavor, then we could absolutely duplicate that in other ways. And also, I agree, getting the sewage treatment facility off of the river is of utmost importance. I believe that we're going to pay for that with a combination of bonds and just the general money from the enterprise fund itself. So that's good. That would not be any kind of raise to the taxpayers at all. I agree with Ken that there's important issues going on downtown. And of course, being a downtown business merchant, I would absolutely be paying attention to that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with you on the next question, which is asking you just a little more specifics. Am I muted? No, there we go. Asking you a little bit more specifics in terms of what would you like to see happen in connection with the Three Corners the city owns at Indian River Boulevard and 17th Street. Do you support the referendum that would direct council to pursue the plan?
Of course, I was on the steering committee that helped create that plan, under the supervision of Andre Duani, of course. And I think that what we consider the Standing O plan is an amazing plan. And I am completely 100% on board to proceed with that as soon as possible. I just want to mention, in case a lot of people don't understand or don't realize it, that even though there's a hotel and there's restaurants, that plan involves 70% of the entirety of the property remaining as green space. And that's a very important thing to mention because in my mind, that plan should be developed in a way that is as green and lagoon friendly as possible. I don't really want to see a bunch of paving of parking lots and any kind of craziness down there. We should be setting an example of forward-thinking, green building, lagoon-friendly building for a property that's going to sit on the Indian River Lagoon.
Okay, thank you. Taylor, can you hear us again?
Yeah, logged back in. That worked.
Good deal. Okay, so that's a good idea to come back in. So the question is about the Three Corners. What would you like to see happen in connection with the Three Corners the city owns at Indian River Boulevard and 17th Street? And do you support the referendum that would direct the council to pursue the plan?
I do support the referendum. I will be voting yes to approve that. I really have two hopes. I'm a big fan of the standing ovation plan. I think the amenities are great. My two hopes is they repurpose Big Blue. Because of the city charter with us having the height restrictions, I think it would be a real shame for them to tear that down to what may honestly be one of the best views in the city of Vero Beach, and also adding adequate boat docks for the boating community. I believe that's one of the biggest missed markets here in the city.
Okay, thank you. Ken, I don't know if you can hear me, Ken, but it sounds like you can in
Yes,
multiple
I can,
ways.
Larry.
Okay, so the question is, did you hear the question?
You asked about, yes, Larry, I know what the question is.
Okay, go ahead. What would you like to see happen?
Okay, it's not about what I would like to see and happen. There's been a lot of conversation over the last years of what could happen on the three corners. The power plant land is in play right now. That's what the charter question is about. You had a lot of meetings where people really stepped up. They had a lot of hopes, a lot of dreams. There's over 300 pages in the master plan. What folks are hoping is their hopes and dreams can be seen on that property. They're hoping for open space, green space. And when I speak about open green space, what they're hoping for is that they'll be able to come onto the property where there's no charges. Of course, you may have a restaurant there or a few. You may have a motel there. And depending on what services the motel will offer, it could be, tennis or things of that nature, which would be closed off to the general public. It would be for the patrons of the motel. So people are hoping there'll be space for them on the property, that they just leisurely can walk, no charges. So it is my hope, from listening to people, that their hopes and dreams come true on that property. I'm also hoping whatever developer the council of the day selects will be very sensitive to the environment. That is on a very sensitive area there. It's the lagoon. Everybody's talked about cleaning up the lagoon. Let's make sure we have an environmental friendly developer. There's new things out on the market that you can be eco-friendly there. Our people are also helping when the developer comes in. There might be some type of environmental center there where people can view what's happening to the environment out there, especially our young people. A lot of the young people that I talk to, they're saying, gee whiz, are we going to be able to go on the property? So my hope is that it all works out in a very positive. And back to the hopes and dreams of people that came to the table, they'll see those hopes and dreams take place on that property. And the property that's in play right now, for all your viewers, is the power plant property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Linda. I think, actually, I started with you in the last one, so I'm a little out of order here. We'll start with Taylor on this next one. What do you think of the citizen initiative on the November ballot?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's admirable that a citizen-led group achieved the required petitions to get this on the ballot in such a short time. But however, I'm extremely confused and concerned with the language. It's almost like a twofold question. They want to put the marina in the city charter, which I get, but then they want to implement height restrictions to every existing structure within the city charter. This would delay numerous current projects and any future project. For example, the World War II memorial planned for Veterans Island, that would have to be delayed. I'm very confused with the language, with the footprint. The youth sailing organization wants to move on the southeast parcel of Three Corners. Well, can they build an existing structure, or will they have to meet the footprint of one of those, one of our water tanks over there?
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll go to Linda for this, and then we'll go to Ken. But Linda, what do you think of that referendum, the citizen referendum?
I've talked to all the people involved in that, and I think that I agree, it's admirable. They did a great job. I understand their concerns with the boat barn from the very beginning. I've been comfortable with a smaller footprint boat barn. I think that's what they originally wanted. I think that the referendum is too broad, and it would tie the hands of city council and make it impossible for us to do anything. You couldn't put a pavilion in the dog park. I mean, from the wording of the referendum, the youth sailing building would not get done in a timely manner, because that would have to go to referendum, because that is not an addition to the water tank that they're tearing down. It's a completely separate structure, and obviously it's going to be more than 500 square feet. So I would have to vote against the referendum. I wish that they would have limited the referendum to just the boat storage facility, putting that in the charter and limiting its size. Then I would have absolutely have been supportive. Thank you.
Larry, you're on mute.
It's commendable that the citizens got together. And here's what really hurts and breaks my heart. I sat in the meetings as this played out for a while, and different neighborhoods came in to speak with the council with their concerns. And so many of them left and said, they're not listening to us. Don't they care about our neighborhoods or my neighborhood or where I live? My house is right across from where this construction is going to take place. And yes, it's about the boat barn, but it was also about the entire master plan. And then as these folks read through the plan, they found out there was going to be dredging and more work to make the marina much, much larger than what it is. Also, the other thing with this situation, these people did step up and they did the best they could. They got it on the ballot. The other thing that really bothers a lot of people when you go out and talk to them, they might have a little bit mixed emotions on that ballot question, but it really bothers people where citizens stepped up to petition their government. The very government turns around and sues them. And when you read some of the writings that the city did, they're pretty rough on what they think these people did. And I, again, sat in on the meetings. Many times people came in respectful, practically begging the council of the day, please hear our concerns. They were told we had plenty of meetings. I reminded the council of folks who were going through the COVID virus situation, taking care of loved ones. A lot of their loved ones passed away. People were trying to keep their business going. They just were not going to these meetings. Yes, they had it, but they were not there. So they came in and talked to council. And the way they see it, it fell on deaf ears. Plus, when people were speaking, if some of the council folks didn't like what they were saying, the people were shut down or interrupted, things of that nature. Anyway, I have a little bit more to say on it, but I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ken, we're going to start with you on this next question, which is a different topic. Next year, how would you address funding and projects associated with the stormwater utility that City Council has created?
Okay, for the next fiscal year, they are going to put about $1.25 million into doing more studies. And in reading the studies, I call it infrastructure, nuts and bolts. What are you actually going to put in place to actually clean the water in the city park? And we're a very small little dot when you look out there on the coast. My next concern and questions to the council, are you going to work with other jurisdictions? The county is very active when you talk to them as far as cleaning, doing their thing as far as water going into the lagoon. They feel they've put quite a bit of money into stormwater runoff. We have a lot of new codes in place. When you do new construction, you have to retain water on site. With the stormwater fee, a lot of folks that put up buildings here just within the last couple of years are asking, okay, why are you charging me when we spent all this money on doing the infrastructure like we were directed to? Now you're turning around and they consider it a tax. Then when you peel it back and you say, okay, what are you actually doing to clean the water? One of the things I've asked the council repeatedly is, why don't you folks, you keep saying we're polluting. All right, test the water coming out of the pipes. What's coming out? What pollutants? What's in the river? What's right, or in the lagoon? What's right around the pipes? At least let us know, okay? If you find these pollutants, what are you actually going to do to treat the water coming out of the pipes? Again, we're going to be spending another $1.25 million on more studies. We keep doing one study after the next. Then they were saying, oh, we'll go after grants. Their own engineer stood up and said to the council, folks, over half your projects, you don't qualify for grants. So we need the leadership on council that understands how it actually works to get this water cleaned up, and how do you get the money for it and get the best bang for your buck without overburdening your taxpayer, because we are the ones that foot the bill. We want to make sure if you're going to use our money, make it worthwhile. Stop doing so many studies. And I'll stop there.
Thanks, Ken. Just as a technical tip, if you could mute the speaker on your computer, that would be good, and you'll be able to hear me through the phone. I'll keep my speaker open on the phone. That will avoid some of the feedback we're getting. The next question will go to Taylor. Same question, which I'll repeat it. Next year, how would you address funding and projects associated with the stormwater utility?
Yeah, thank you for that, Larry. I really feel bad for the small business owners like Linda and the nonprofits who will be impacted by this the most. For example, if you look at a company like Piper Airlines, they would be assessed $50,000 to $70,000. I just don't see how that's fair. Our economy has been on a roller coaster these past 2 years. First, we had the pandemic. Now we have inflation at an all-time high. In my opinion, I don't believe now is the best time for a new tax or a new line item on the budget. If we want to address I'm sorry about that. If we want to address a proven strategy to clean up the lagoon, why not address the step system? Only 35% of residents are utilizing that service. I've met leadership in Brevard County and in Palm Beach to see what programs they're implementing, and they are all in for the seagrass. Our manatees are dying; they're perishing because the lack of seagrass. They're dying because of starvation. I think we can develop a private-public partnership and make sure we plant some seagrass beds for the manatees and the other species in the Indian River Lagoon.
Thank you, Linda.
Everything Taylor just said about Brevard County and what they're doing and how much of a better job they're doing. I'm going to say that with this new stormwater utility, we have spent money on consultants. We paid Kimley Horn. I want to say it's $163,000, though. I don't believe it was $1 million to Kimley Horn to come up with stormwater projects. But Ken is correct. We have no shovel-ready stormwater projects that are going to make a significant difference. And if we're going to impose a tax, which I am completely against, I think we can find other ways to finance stormwater mitigation efforts. But as Taylor brought up, Piper and other large corporations, what we want is to motivate them to do things in their own property to mitigate stormwater, like corporate jet service did. They did like a $300,000 project, and they're not going to get any mitigation credits with the way the new stormwater tax is structured. I don't think it's right to tell people they have to pave things and then charge them more because they did pave things. So I think we need to be looking at ways to prevent stormwater and not charging people money to fix what we made them create. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Taylor, we'll start with you on this question. In light of the planned move of the sewer plant to the airport, what is your take on the proposed water and sewer rates?
They're too high. No, in all seriousness, as I mentioned before, this isn't a do or don't project. We're required by the state to make existing updates to our current facility. And like you mentioned, the proposal right now is moving it to the Vero Beach Airport. It's still very early in the design phase. There has been no bids submitted quite yet. Really, the big issue is how are we going to financially afford this? And something that I would like to explore. The cost may be a little bit too high to go to the airport. It's proven that the cost is too high to partner up with Indian River County. I wonder, we definitely don't want to keep it where it currently is, but moving it over to the southwest parcel of Three Corners, I really don't know what that property can be used for other than parking for the other two corners. It could possibly be a hybrid facility where we try to incorporate some of the older materials, but yeah, at the same time, I think we can probably afford newer materials to make this a successful project. And we know where it's located. If we move it across the street, I think that would be an avenue that I would definitely explore for this to keep rates low.
Thank you, Linda.
I'm pretty sure that there is infrastructure in place in the area around the airport, and there was a really good reason why Rob Bolton selected that site. Plus, it's much further inland, although I have to applaud Taylor Dingle kind of thinking outside of the box, because that's what we need on city council. We need people thinking of new ways to do things and not just the same old ways. The rates are too high. They are absolutely too high, but I don't think that they would end up in the place that they are now, because that was without any kind of grants or any kind of money from the federal government or money from the state government, which we are anticipating getting. And my hope would also be that as inflation calms down, maybe the price of materials will go down a little bit as well. But there have got to be ways that we get around raising the rates as much as what is being proposed currently.
Thank you, Linda. Ken, would you like me to repeat the question?
Unless you want to, but it's on the moving the wastewater treatment plant off the lagoon. They've been working on that plan for quite a while. And before I go in that, just for a point of clarity, I spoke on the $1 million for the stormwater projects. They spent $150 going forward for the consultant. When you look at what they were going to do, they got another $1 million worth of just studies. That's what I was referring to. Okay, the water and sewer. All right, we've been talking about moving the plant for a number of years. It's in play. They're doing the studies. And the water and sewer rates are going to go up for the relocation of the plant and building the new one. In fact, probably in another couple of weeks, the consultants will come in and inform the city about how much the rates are going to go up. Now, one of the things that's kind of sad about this is we had about, when we were doing the budget workshops, or they were, the council, had about $2 million in CARE Act money from the government. We could have taken that money and plugged it into what we're doing as far as studying, doing the plans and everything else to move the wastewater treatment plant, and that would have helped control the rates. But what they did with the majority of that money is they plugged it into the stormwater fee situation, so people wouldn't kind of feel it so hard right now. But us water and sewer payers, ratepayers, we're going to feel it pretty rough here as the rates go up with them moving that plant off the river. Is it the right thing to do? Yes. Be honest with you all, it was talked about 25 years ago to begin the process of moving it off the lagoon, but the political will was not there. Also, over the years, if you go back and look at some of the studies, more studies that were done, they did look at merging with the county. Nothing's for free. Merging with the county, and we've turned everything over to the county. We have to build the infrastructure, and the county's not going to foot that bill. So there would be, monies that would be due to the county for them to switch it over. So that was all looked at. So the city decided, councils decided to move forward with the relocation of the plant. I am very, very concerned going forward how much our water and rates are going to go up. You have the township, Indian River Shores. They're very upset about the situation right now. They buy a lot of reuse water from us for irrigation. Those prices are going to go up. So coming down the road here, there's going to be more infighting with another township over water and sewer rates. It seems like it never stops. I wish we would have actually had the councils about 25 years ago, just to take the initiative and get it done. My hope is going forward, if you have the right council there and the right leadership that understands how grants work, we can direct our staff to start going to the state looking for these grants. They're called water grants. Everybody else is, and their uncle, they're in line too. But if it's done right and early enough, you get in line to get your grants. One of the things we did years ago is we would go to Tallahassee. We would sit down with the legislators, let them know what we're doing as a local municipal, what we need going forward. That has not been done over the last number of years. You've got to get out of your little bubble a little bit if you're going to go after grant money. And there is a way that it's done. There is a definite pecking order in Tallahassee. You just don't walk up there and say, here I am. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to have everything in order. When we did it years ago, we were prepared. We did it's called Bring the Bacon Back Home to Your City. That's what we did. Going forward, we're going to need the outside box thinkers and the leadership to get the job done. And being on council for 2 years is a short gig. If you don't have people that know how to hit the ground running and get the job done, the citizenry loses. And for elected officials, it's always easy to raise your taxes. Let's put some more fees out there. It just sounds good. And whenever you put a fee on the tax bill, ladies and gentlemen, that stays put. And if you don't pay that fee, they're going to take your home. That's one of the things that I did not like the council was doing, was putting in our tax bill. One of the things I said in public, if you folks think it's such a great idea, put it on the ballot and let us decide if we want to put fees on ourselves. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. We'll start with Linda on this question. You're going to love this one. Is what, if anything, would you like to see happen to eastbound and westbound State Road 60, also known as 20th Street, 20th Place, and the Twin Pairs?
Oh, you just did that on purpose, Larry. Okay, so Larry and I go way back on this issue. Being a downtown merchant, I'm down there. I own a restaurant downtown. I'm pretty sure most people know that. The Twin Pairs, I've always hated them. I think they're dangerous, but I have changed my mind in recent years. The last time we tried to do traffic calming with the Twin Pairs, people were adamantly against minimizing lanes. And I'll tell you, for years, I wanted to eliminate a lane. I absolutely thought that was the best way to go. But with the way that the county is growing and the way that the population in the county is growing, now I'm not so sure that's a hot idea. But I'll tell you, I would like to see everything done that's not get rid of lanes. Let's make the lanes narrower. Let's lower the speed limit going through downtown. Larry, you should have your stamped crosswalks because you've always wanted that. And I agree. I think that would be wonderful. I'd like to see a traffic light over there by American Icon before the railroad tracks, because God knows those trains are going to be going fast. But I would like to see definitely the traffic being slowed down, but not a reduction in lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Ken for the answer on this question. Is what would you like to see, if anything, done with the Twin Pairs? Ken, we're up on Ken.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Thank you for the question. All right. It's a DOT highway. And that's back again, having the proper leadership, knowing how things work. Our district is out of Fort Lauderdale. And again, you just don't walk in and say, hey, I want some changes. DOT would be open to the following. We need to make the crosswalks safer. We need to change the timing on the lights a little bit so people have time to get across the road instead of running across the road. Downtown, thank the Lord, has gotten busier. There is solutions that we can do right now that DOT would be open to. Yes, we can slow the speed down a little bit. That would help. The next thing that would help is if we had more during the peak times of day and peak days of the week, we would have our police out there like it was done many, many years ago, checking people's speed. And if they were speeding, they would get a ticket. So we didn't have what you have nowadays, where over at St. Helens, once that light changes, as they romp as fast as they can through the downtown area. That goes back to traffic enforcement. That is not being done. That is back to leadership, where you would discuss this with your fellow council members that make some of these changes that are very doable. The other thing we can do, this is not hard, we can ask DOT, they do it on the bridges all the time, clean up the little crosswalks. They look like crap right now. When they did repaving, they rolled their trucks over it. It's got the black stuff all over it. All we have to do is put in and ask. Does it happen right away? No, it does not. You have to put in for months, a few months in advance, but the cleaning, slowing the speed down, improving our crosswalks, we desperately need something by where the old power plant is, where that's up and running. They have a great restaurant there. It's a really neat spot for people to come look. You watch them run across the road, sooner or later, the luck is going to run out. It is time to fix that. We also can improve the lighting along that area, what you're talking about, Larry. We can put a few more street lights, improve that. It's not that hard to do if you have the politicians that ask for it and know how to get it done. I've heard over and over from the business owners, when are you going to do something? I talk to pedestrians. I can't get across the street, Ken. They're going to run me over. I go to a local barber downtown. I sit there and watch them racing during the day. They drive really fast. That can be fixed, and it's stuff that can be done here in the near future with the proper leadership on council. This is stuff we've talked about. This stuff it's over and over again, and we keep having the same stuff there. And Larry, you've been around long enough, you know that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. We'll go to Taylor on this question next. Taylor?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I agree with everything that Ken and Linda said. They really summed it up. A point that I didn't hear. I mean, this is our hurricane evacuation route. I believe those who constructed Twin Pairs were anticipating the growth to come, and here we are. We have the growth. Our population is growing little by little over time. I would hate to see, we live in an area that's not foreign to severe storms. I would really hate to see them narrow it and we have to evacuate. Good luck if you live on the island getting to 95 in under 3 hours if it's only a one-lane road. So I don't believe it should be touched.
Thank you, Taylor. We'll start, I think, this next one with Ken, which is in recent years, commercial property along Ocean Drive by Con Beach on Royal Palm Point and elsewhere has been razed and replaced by condominiums. A large storage unit is being built on prime property along State Road 60 across from the police station. Are you okay with this? If not, what can be done about it?
On the storage unit across from the police station, that is allowed in our current code. And it's unfortunate that our planning director did not work on straightening that out in the code. A lot of us that have been in the area for a while, we were hoping that you could have some what we call affordable housing there, where you would have the retail in the bottom and living quarters up above. We were hoping for that. It does back up into a neighborhood, that little small neighborhood there. They were very, very concerned with this type of construction coming in there. Now that it's out of the ground, it is really bothering a lot of people. It's super big. It is going to impact that little neighborhood there, and this is a little neighborhood at risk. They didn't have the monies to really fight back. I did speak out on that issue, but the planning director had said it all met code, and there was nothing that could be done. Going forward, the council, and I was present at the meeting, they tapped on the brakes just a teeny bit and gave a little bit of direction to the planning director to go through the code and straighten some of that out. I don't know if he's working on it. He's working very hard on a lot of new projects that come in. Some of the stuff is quite large. Their staff is really scaled down to the bone in the P&Z office. So the projects that come in, they take priority. Where our code needs to be adjusted out, this is the sad part, it's put on the back burner. We have other code issues where code needs to be straightened out. When you go back and look at our vision plan that took place a number of years ago, there are a lot of the codes that we were supposed to be working on to protect our neighborhoods from the commercial encroachment. You are going to have commercial development. That's going to take place in any city. It's how do you get there with the commercial development so it fits in with your community and it doesn't overwhelm. And a good example now, and people are seeing it with their own eyes, is that huge structure that's popping up out of the ground. It's a huge warehouse area. You're going to have motorhomes coming in that area. People are concerned with that, but it's allowed in the code. My hope is it doesn't happen somewhere else. Where I live, it could happen by us, not too far from us. And some of my other neighborhoods where my friends live, they're asking, is that going to happen to us too? So back to leadership again, you have to have the proper leadership to give direction to staff when there are issues that need to be addressed in your community and your neighborhoods. You have to direct staff to move forward to take care of it.
Thank you, Ken. Okay. Taylor, would you like to tackle that question?
Could you repeat it for me,
Yes,
please?
sir. I sure will. In recent years, commercial property along Ocean Drive or by Con Beach on Royal Palm Point and elsewhere has been razed and replaced by condominiums. A large storage unit is being built on prime property across or along State Road 60 across from the police station. Are you okay with this? If not, what can be done about it?
That's a tough question. It seems like people want to cash in. Everybody's moving to Florida, so of course they want to build condominiums to make a pretty big paycheck. It seems like the trend is the storage units for boats and classic cars and etc. I get it. Government that in my opinion, that's a bit of an overreach. Doing anything about it. Of course, I would like to see that property utilized a little bit differently, but as of right now, all we can do is support those business owners and the new residents and welcome them to Vero Beach.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. Linda?
Yeah, what a shame. God, that broke my heart when I heard what was going in there. I mean, there's nothing to be done about it. It is in our code that was written in the 50s that hasn't been seriously looked into since then. I think we've made a good start to updating those codes, but that is certainly something that needs to happen. As far as mixed use zoning, which is what Ken was talking about with people living upstairs and businesses downstairs, I love that. I love that idea. That's what I would want for a downtown area. Took us 7 years to get that approved for the Arts Village. So I would like to see us maybe move a little bit faster on things and be a little bit more proactive on future properties and definitely change some of those codes so that doesn't happen again. Storage units. Ugh. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Taylor, we're going to start with you on this next question. Let's see. Okay, just on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is really not a problem at all. 5 is a huge problem. 1 is not a problem. 5 is a huge problem. How much of a problem is parking in downtown? That's the first question. And then on the beach, scale of 1 to 5, can you give me one for each?
It depends. Are we in high season or low season?
Just however you want to.
Yeah,
I would say the sort of whenever, I don't know, whatever you want to weigh in on.
Over on the beach, I would say a 4. Here in the downtown area, I would say a 2. This has always been a concern, and what a great issue to have, what a high-class issue to have, to be having this forum and parking be part of one of the questions. In my opinion, I believe it all comes down to parking availability and not parking accessibility. And what I mean by that, every time we go to Ocean Drive, we may not get the first spot outside of Mulligan's or Ocean Grill. We may have to park a few yards or a couple spots away and walk. The downtown area, you have to know the spots. I park in the big lot adjacent to the American Icon. It seems like that parking lot is rarely utilized. Again, accessibility, I'm sure people don't want to walk. I usually park there if I'm going to the Main Street Vero Beach block party, or if I'm going somewhere in the downtown area like Blue Agave or Post and Vine or Southern Social.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor. We'll go to Linda on this.
Really? Like everyone around me, but not kilted? Whatever. Okay. All right. Beachside parking. What a nightmare. I mean, one of the suggestions that I would have as a solution for beachside would be if the hotels were to be issued some kind of parking decal, or maybe just their license tags, because we do have a license tag reader now. And a couple blocks off Ocean Drive, those restaurant employees could park there and not have to move their cars 15 times a shift, because that's a nightmare. And that way, that would free up Ocean Drive for people to park that are patronizing the businesses and patronizing the restaurants. And that could also be a little bit of added revenue for the city if the hotels had to pay a very minimal charge per employee for those stickers. It would be peace of mind for them, peace of mind for the employees, and also free up some parking in the prime parking areas. I think downtown we're doing pretty good. It's really not an untenable situation. Something that's great about downtown that's not great about beachside is that I think that we are more able to work with each other. And for example, the office building across the street from us is not public parking, but we keep that parking lot clean. And, we're in communication with the owners of that area, of that parking lot. And, as long as it's after 5 and it doesn't, inhibit their tenants from parking there, they're fine with it. There's a lot of places beachside where that could be the case. And there's just not been a lot of headway on building relationships between the downtown business owners and the restaurants and hotels. And that's a shame. And of course, if I got elected to city council, I would work on that. And I think that is something that could definitely be utilized. It would be much less expensive than building a parking garage. Thank you.
Well, if you were to give me a number, Linda, on the beach, what would you give me? And then downtown, 5 is a really bad problem. 1 is not a problem at all.
Oh, I think we're at a 4 on beachside, and yeah, I go with a 2 downtown.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Thank
Only
you.
during like high season.
Okay. Ken, 5, what would you give me for a beach and then downtown in terms of parking? 1 is not a problem. 5 is a problem, big problem.
The beachside, I think they run to a 4 and 5, especially in season. They're always fighting for parking over there. We've done a number of studies over that way, and so far there's been no solutions reached. I'm hoping going in the near future, we can reach the solution for their parking in the high season. There is a situation with employee parking. They did look at decals. We looked at putting parking into the parks there. There was reasons that the business owners didn't want to do that because there was liability issues with their folks traveling back and forth, so we went through that. The downtown situation, I look at that as a 2 and 3, depending on what's going on. I think at this time the parking's okay. We have the courthouse, what I call the courthouse parking, that people have been starting to use, especially when we have the downtown Fridays. I've been watching people go to the courthouse and park there. Even some people go to the public library and park there. So they are willing to park and walk. There's no charges for parking. So I think right now we're okay. Do we have to keep an eye on it? Most definitely, because, your downtown is growing. But I think we have to give some really solid thought with solutions, workable solutions for the island side. A number of years ago, they did a plan for the center of Cardinal Drive where some parking could be put down the middle there. We may pull that plan out, dust it off, and do a revisit and see what we can do with that. There could even be some grant funding to help with that. We might be able to tap into some other dollars at the state level concerning, tourists coming in.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Hey, are there any questions from the editorial board? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to Linda. I have one more summary here. We're kind of running out of time here. So maybe, is there anything that we missed that you'd like to bring up? Anything you'd like to tell either us or the voters as a summary?
Well, I would just like to say I own a business. I am a fiscal conservative, but I'm also very common sensey with my approach to things. I'm logical. I listen to everyone. My place is like the neutral zone. Everybody comes in there of all age groups, all income levels. Everybody is one big happy family at Kilted Mermaid. And I talk to every single person and I listen to everyone. And that's what I would do as a city council member. I would listen and I would pay attention and I would do what is best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. We'll go to Ken. Ken, anything that you...
I am always available. My door's always open. I'm very approachable, whether in office or out, visiting with people. And even if, sometimes I'll get calls real late into the evening where people need some help, with something going on that happened to them where they need a city service, I'm able to share with them and help them. One of the things that I'm really going to push for, if people put their trust in me for the next council seat, is to be more friendly and open to when people come in to speak. I fought for this country, and one of the biggest things on my mind was the freedom of speech where people could step up and express themselves. And we're not there to be in agreement or disagreement. I want to hear from everyone so we can get all parties to the table, get all points of views, and then make a decision that will pretty much work for everyone. Is everyone going to be happy with it? No, but I want to do things that most of us can be okay with. And one of the things I want to put a stop to when people are speaking is stop the interruptions. The elected officials have what we call the mic. Most people are not used to speaking out from behind the podium. They're usually nervous or scared. And when you interrupt them, you throw them off their game. And I don't like that. Let people speak. Let them express themselves. And then the other thing, when they sit down, if you maybe didn't like what they heard or rubbed you the wrong way, don't beat them up when they sit down. That's not very nice because they can't come back up and defend themselves. But that is demoralizing them, and that's not right. And I've watched that so much over this last year. So I'd like to see that stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Taylor, any last words from you? Anything you'd like us to know? Things like that?
Yeah, of course. To those watching at home, thank you for taking the time to watch this forum. Also, thank you to the TCPalm editorial board for hosting us. Over the past year, I have achieved a greater knowledge, understanding, and awareness for city issues. Since my last attempt at Vero Beach City Council, I was appointed to a city commission, served on the board of directors for the Taxpayers Association, continued my service as a president to a organization that helps educate young adults in the Vero Beach area, and attended city council meetings regularly. I'm running because I realize my generation is going to live with the consequences of the decisions being made today. I hope to be a citizen politician elected to represent my generation who will inherit Vero Beach. If you would like to learn more information about me, you can visit votetaylordingle.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Ken. It was great having you on here today. We know that it's tough to go out there and campaign, but it's an essential part of our society. So thank you. Good luck on the campaign trail, and please continue to visit tcpalm.com for your latest election information. Take care now.